In this lecture segment, last semester students would like to share some of their lessons learned with you, and I'd like to offer some of my own suggestions as well. Okay, let's get started. For all the semesters I've been teaching this course, the last question on my final exam has always been the same. Please write some short lessons learned to next semester's CS12 students regarding how to succeed in this course, things you think they'd need to know, or anything else about the course that comes to mind. What do you wish you'd known much sooner? Unless you indicate otherwise, I'd like to share your anonymous comments with them at the beginning of next semester, just as I did with you at the beginning of this semester. So what I did was transcribe their responses from off the final exams, sort them into broad general topics, and group similar responses together. The comments appearing on the following slides are their verbatim comments to you from last semester. They have much more to say than we can possibly cover here, but let's take a look at some representative comments. For starters, here are some general suggestions for course success from last semester's students. These things will be mentioned in more detail elsewhere, but these are the basic principles for success that seem to come up over and over again in their comments. Here are some of their representative comments. Succeeding in this course is entirely dependent on the effort you put into assignments. I think they should know that fully understanding the concepts of each week will help them in the following weeks, as the course builds upon itself and the later lessons require you to know the fundamentals very well. Take the time to understand why your solution works, not just how to implement it. Get started early. Attend all live lectures. Manage your time efficiently and pay attention to the details. Listening or going to office hours, seeking help, doing code reviews, listening to all the lecture videos, and managing your time correctly will all ensure you do well in this course. Do not stress, ask questions, attend office hours, watch or attend the lectures, and you will do great. As stated elsewhere, all course materials needed will be available to you on Canvas, so make full use of them. Regarding the Canvas materials, the general sentiment was to make full use of them and read them all every week before starting on the assignments, and to not skip over the code walkthroughs. Here's what last semester's students had to say. Take full advantage of all resources. This includes office hours, demos, notes, videos, and extra question Zoom calls with professor or past peer. Use the resources. Take advantage of all the resources available in the course, like notes, examples, and office hours. These tools will save you time. Don't skip lectures or readings. What is demonstrated in lecture videos often very closely illustrates portions of the assignment that week, and they will be your best friend, especially after week 10. Don't skip on the code walkthrough videos. Many of them directly relate to a current assignment. Watching lectures and going through the example codes can really help understand what you are supposed to do in assignments. Over the semesters, students have consistently offered similar advice regarding the assignments. Namely, start on them as soon as possible and give yourself time to deal with problems. And keep up on them because they do build on each other. I'll probably harp on these things often, but these are past students talking, not me. In their words, look through all of the resources that are posted on Canvas before starting the assignments. Read through the program specifications carefully and thoroughly prior to beginning an assignment. Breaking down assignments into smaller chunks and tackling them bit by bit made a big difference. Give yourself more than one day. It is impossible to complete these assignments all in one day, and it's going to be easier on your brain to break it up into digestible sections. Don't do a whole program in one night. Even if you think you can, try to give yourself at least a few days to work on the program, because there may be some roadblocks or obstacles that you don't see at first, which then takes up a lot of your time. Prof really pays attention to detail when going over code, so just make sure to check over it multiple times. Never submit an assignment until you compile and run and test it, even if you just add comments or a little something. Once, I made a small fix in one part of the program, but a few other parts stopped working correctly, and I didn't realize it. For every single assignment given, a grading rubric will be provided, and this will be the vehicle for providing you with detailed feedback specific to your efforts. The expectation is that you will use this as a pre-submittal checklist, and will then review and incorporate any feedback provided into your subsequent programs to improve them. As your fellow students put it, make sure your code is organized and you carefully follow the instruction document and rubric. This is the main measuring tool to determine your grade. Look through the feedback and learn from it. Coding style and conventions are the little details, the good rules of the road in programming, which help make your code read and look better, both to you and to anyone else reading it, such as an instructor trying to grade it. We will be emphasizing lots of these little things in the first half assignments to help make them regular habits. Here's what your peers had to say. Do not forget to pay attention to coding standards. Take the coding standards seriously and get into the habit of following it from the get-go. Look at the example code found in the weekly zip files to see how to structure and format your code. Add comments so that you know what specific part of your code does what. Never forget to add and update the header. By contrast, good programming practices are larger, more general habits and best practices that help you write your code with more efficiency, less stress and frustration, and better end results. These are the good habits will help you develop over the course of the semester. As your predecessors learned through hard experience, not overthinking it is a big part. Just thinking of how to solve the problems logically is important. The importance of pseudocode. Writing out a plan before jumping into coding makes assignments much easier to tackle. Having effective comments makes it easier to find lines of code. Take breaks. I once spent hours being stuck on a simple concept, but after taking a break and coming back to it, I figured it out in a couple of minutes. Walk away from your code if you get stuck, and come back to it later. Breaks can definitely lead to breakthroughs. If you are stuck on something, take a break and try again later. If you're still not able to self-solve, never hesitate to reach out to the professor. Experimenting is simply the idea that to get good at any skill such as programming, it's not enough to simply read or watch the lecture videos and do the assignments. You really need to be willing to play around with a language a bit more on your own and study the examples provided to see what makes them tick. In the words of your predecessors, practice coding regularly. Practice makes perfect. This class is heavily skill-based, so don't just read the material. Practice coding outside of the assignments. It'll make a big difference on quizzes and exams. I recommend that after reading the weekly material, opening up JGrasp and getting hands-on experience with the code. Change things around, try to break it, and have fun with it. It will help you understand the concepts on a much deeper level. I feel it is also important to just be able to try things out in your code, as it will lead to a greater understanding of the language and will give you an easier time figuring out problems later down the road. Debugging refers to the overall process of finding and fixing problems in your code. The problems might involve syntax errors in your code, in which case you'll have compiler errors to address before you can even run your code. But once your code compiles and can be run, you may still have logic or runtime errors. For this, you need to be able to see inside your code and trace its path of execution. And for this, using the JGrasp debugger will be invaluable. Here's what your predecessors learned about that. Debugging skills are critical. Learning to use debugging tools and reading error messages efficiently will save you a ton of time and frustration. Debugging is part of the process. Learn debugging tools from the start. This will make solving problems easier. I wish I'd known how to debug my code much sooner. It took me more time to learn how to do this, but once I did, it made my life infinitely easier. Also, utilize the debugger more. Once you know how to use it, the debugger makes it easier to find where things went wrong. Here's a biggie which students always seem to struggle with: asking questions. I realize it's often very hard for younger students to do, but it's vital in an online setting like ours. And the ones who were brave enough to take that leap usually found themselves amply rewarded. Here's what they had to say. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask questions about code early on rather than later. Ask questions early. If you don't understand something, ask for help right away. The professor is approachable, and there are resources like office hours if you need extra support. Most importantly, ask questions. Do not spend a long time being stuck on a question when you can get help. Rob's a great guy, and he wants you to succeed in this class. So let him know if you need help, and he'll make sure to talk you through it. As noted in the syllabus, I will gladly do one-time code reviews of your assignments before you turn them in. This helps you wring out the simple errors in your programs, helps me to expedite the grading, and generally results in better scores for you. As past students noted, one thing that I wish I had known sooner was the fact that the code reviews are the best thing ever. Recommend code reviews, always. Not an exception, no matter what. Code review. This is key because he basically reviews your code and tells you what you need to do and if you're heading in the right direction. Don't be afraid to ask questions and get your work code reviewed. Professor Lapkus's feedback is really helpful. Another method is code reviews. It was really helpful for me to send in code reviews before turning in the assignments, as they helped me know what I needed to change. I also highly recommend using code reviews, because even if your code looks perfect, there might be a minor issue that you can fix before turning the assignment in for a grade. Office hours will be held online weekly, as noted in the syllabus. In these sessions, we can get questions answered in real time, do some demos of the upcoming assignments, and have some time to demonstrate things like debugging programs. Students who attended regularly found these sessions very helpful, or as they put it, attending office hours is a really helpful introduction to programs. Attend or watch every office hour. Watch office hours before starting the assignment. They clarify a lot. Attend the weekly live office hour, or at the very least, watch the recording. This was super valuable in getting a better understanding of the material. Attend past peers' tutor Zoom meetings. She was very helpful. I wish I knew how useful the Zoom meetings would be. At the end of the semester, I began watching them, and it made many of the assignments much clearer and much less overwhelming when they were explained out loud. As noted early in the syllabus, the course pacing will start out leisurely, but will pick up steam quickly as the semester advances, particularly in the second half after the midterm. So be forewarned, or as prior students point out, things will pick up quickly after midterms. Please be prepared for the assignments after the midterm, since they would become heavier and require more time in order to get them done. You need to know that in the later 8 weeks of the course, the assignments will get much harder and require you to dedicate more of your time to study the materials. Make sure you do this and have good time management. Future students should know that the course definitely becomes a little harder around week 10, but that is not as bad as people on Rate My Professor say it is. Over all the semesters I've been teaching this course, effective time management has consistently been the biggest and most painful lesson learned, and the one which elicits the most responses. The same general themes keep coming up every semester. I can point these things out until I'm blue in the face, but please heed past students' advice such as this. Stay organized and manage your time. How to use time efficiently. I didn't realize how important time management would be. You need to plan ahead, especially for the larger projects. Don't underestimate the time you'll need for this class. It's not just about coding, but also learning how to think like a programmer. Treat it as building a foundation for your future CS courses. At least make sure you have the lectures reviewed before the weekend. Just a fair warning here. Time management. Some of the projects might take longer than expected, especially if you wait last minute. Start early to give yourself breathing room. Don't let time slip by, and manage your time effectively. And don't let assignments stack up, because you will regret it. Again, do not procrastinate with this class. Finally, some general encouragement from last semester's students to you, which I think nicely sums things up. Programming is a skill, not a talent. The more you do it, the better you become. Be ready for some frustration. There will be moments when things aren't clicking and it can feel overwhelming. Don't get discouraged. It's part of the process. Good luck. And remember, it's okay to struggle at first as long as you keep improving. Besides that, CS12 is a fun class, and Professor Lapkus does a good job going over and introducing new topics. Overall, this course is challenging but very rewarding. If you put in the effort and take advantage of the support available, you'll come out of it with a solid understanding of programming fundamentals. Even though we are learning Java, and it may not be the language you're interested in or what is used at work, You better darn believe that once you're able to read Java, you should be able to read other languages. Well, there you have it. Last semester's students' advice to you. There's lots of useful, hard-won advice here. I'll surely be harping on many of these things during the semester, but please take heed of this advice from your peers. And hopefully you too will be able to pay it forward to next semester's students at the end of this semester. Finally, here's some advice that I'd like to leave you with based on my experience in teaching this course. Divide and conquer. Tackle any big programming assignment by breaking it down into smaller pieces and solving those pieces one at a time. Begin any program you'll write with pseudocode. Start all your new programs with the program template we'll be creating soon. Then begin by creating a commented outline of what you want your code to do without having to worry about all the details yet. Get in the habit early on of using a quick, tight programming cycle. Make some code changes, save your changes, compile your code, test it, and then repeat. Over and over again, I see students try to write their programs in one pass. Then when that code blows up with compile errors, they have no idea as to where to start to fix their problems. You'll get a taste of the preferred incremental approach when you create your first Hello World program this week. Along those lines, simplicity. Get something simple working first. Then gradually build it up and keep adding on to it. Do not try to write an entire program in one shot. Rather, start small and keep adding on to it. Again, you'll get practice with this approach when you write this week's Hello World program. Finally, do your very best to keep up with the class. Don't let yourself get behind in the material or on the assignments, because everything builds upon earlier concepts. In particular, programs later in the semester will directly extend and build upon earlier ones. This will be very important to keep in mind after the midterm. And finally, please remember, I am always here to help you with that in any way I can. I'll leave you with this one final thought. There is no shame in not knowing. The shame lies in not finding out. If in doubt, if unsure, if confused, make sure to do something to figure it out. It's okay to get stuck. Don't let yourself stay stuck. Okay, that's the end of this lecture segment. We'll pick back up by starting to get into Java itself.